You'll notice that I didn't say career break because I hate that word while you're off looking after your kids.
Hello everybody, my name's Emily. I'm a senior account manager across both North Coders and Tech Returners. My sort of main role is to look after our corporate clients. In this case, we've got BAE Systems Digital Intelligence. So with me today, I have got Krystal and Jen, both software engineers at BAE already. They're here to tell us a little bit about their insight of working for the company, what made them work for them, how it's going, and also hearing what it's like for them, especially being females in technology. So Krystal, if you could just give us a quick introduction about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so I'm Krystal. I've worked at BAE for 4 years now. So I originally did a degree in physics with kind of minimal coding within that. And then I got kind of approached by a recruiter to attend a sort of day to join one of our boot camps, which was the National Security Academy. I never really sort of considered a career in code, but going to that, I just kind of really loved the presentation that they gave, the ability to work with national security and the kind of problem solving that comes with coding. So I completed the boot camp, and from there I kind of progressed from a junior developer into a technical lead role within my project, now working across 2 applications with a team of 10.
Thanks, Krystal. That sounds amazing. And over to you, Jen.
Thank you. Hiya. So I also did a similar boot camp to Krystal. I came into tech from a completely non-tech background about 2.5 years ago. And while I was a full-time mum at home looking after my 2 little boys, I did a part-time coding boot camp in the evenings with a school in Manchester. And when I came to the end of that coding boot camp, I saw BAE Systems as an employer locally and thought it looked really great. So applied for a job and was lucky enough to get that, and have been here for 2 years ever since, working as a software engineer.
Amazing story. Sounds very similar to quite a lot of our applicants on our program, and they sort of upskill in their sort of maternity stage. So that's amazing.
You'll notice that I didn't say career break because I hate that word while you're off looking after your kids.
There's so many more skills that you can pick up within a career break, though, that people just don't understand. But luckily, BAE Systems are partnering with us, and they're fully aware of that and appreciate the skills that people do gain. So if I could just start off by asking you both, if you could tell us a little bit about your day-to-day activities as a software engineer at BAE. Krystal, if I can start with you.
Yeah, so my day as a kind of technical lead is never the same. I kind of come in with a plan of what I'm going to do, and it quickly gets thrown out the water when I get multiple messages or Skype emails. I tend to kind of elaborate tickets, so work we need to get done based on customer requirements, and often have to sort of help mentor new joiners and more junior staff if they get kind of stuck on an issue. It's also a lot of engagement with stakeholders, so just trying to make sure that they understand when sort of new requirements are going to be released and understanding what they kind of want from the application.
How are you finding the sort of team management aspect? Because it sounds like your trajectory has gone quite quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely, it was a bit of a challenge initially, but the team have been so supportive. They kind of saw that I'd progressed quite quickly, so kind of tried to assist in any way that they could. I've also got an incredible project manager and team lead that sort of work alongside me, and again are very supportive and give any advice. I think as a kind of when you do make that progression, you have to kind of accept that you are going to make mistakes and listen to advice and learn from it, which was something I had to learn quite quickly. And yeah, it's just learning it from there.
Oh, well done for that. That sounds really, really amazing. A very supportive team around you. And what about you, Jen? What's your day-to-day activities like at BAE?
My day is mostly focused around coding. So that's also mixed together with meeting with my team, reviewing other people's code, or maybe doing a bit of learning on the side as well. I'm still quite new in my career, so I'm still learning aspects of the programming languages that I'm working in. So like a typical day for me will usually be log on. I will go to our team stand-up meeting at the beginning of the day, which is where we get together for 15 minutes and we just run through what we did yesterday, what we're working on today, and whether we're stuck on anything and need any help. And then I will get stuck into one of the tasks that our team have to tackle. So I will bring up some code on my screen and I'll do whatever's needed to fix it. So for example, we work on a website and we might have decided that we need to add a new button that does some new bit of functionality. So it would be my job to write the code in the background that will make that new button appear and do that new thing that needs doing. So as a typical day, that's the sort of thing I work on. But like I mentioned, there's also a fair amount of getting together with my team to chat things through, maybe designing new bits of the website, or we might have come up with a bug that we need to fix. So we'll have a discussion about how that might need fixing. And I also spend a fair amount of time talking to our customers as well, to our end users. So that might be through... we've got a support ticket system which we use, so it might be talking to them through that, or we use online chat things like Teams, so it might be chatting to them through that. So it's a fair mix, but most of my day is focused around coding, I'd say.
Brilliant, thanks for sharing that, Jen. And I believe you're based in the Manchester office. We were aware that it's relatively new. How are you finding that?
That's right. Yeah, the Manchester office is a lovely place to work. It is relatively new. It's grown a lot recently. So the community feeling is really quite strong. Everyone seems to know each other quite well. There's a mix of people who work mainly from home, like me, and people who work in the office. So you can always guarantee that if you want to go and work in that team environment in the office, maybe you need the help of some other more experienced developers around you. That's always there if you need it. But likewise, you can work from home and still feel part of the community. There's a ton of social clubs that have started up recently as well. So there's like a book club, a climbing club. There's a Discover Manchester club where we go out and try some new activity that's opened up in Manchester. So it really has this kind of friendly, vibrant feeling at the moment. It's a fab place to work. It really is.
That sounds amazing. And I believe it's not too far from our North Coders office. I think it might be right next door, actually.
We're right in central Manchester. Yeah, we're lucky, which is not good for my bank balance when I go shopping at lunchtime, but it is great fun.
Yeah, there's lots of very great coffee shops around there.
Exactly, yeah.
And Krystal, you're based down in Gloucester. Could you tell us a bit what it's like working there? What's the sort of office setup?
Yeah, so the Gloucester office has been around a lot longer than the kind of Manchester one, but similar to what Jen was describing, there's that real kind of community feel. Whenever you go into the office, everyone's so friendly, everyone sort of sits and talks to you, and it's not kind of a difference in role, which is the kind of main reason I like going into the Gloucester office. Is it doesn't matter if it's kind of someone really senior or someone really junior, everyone just kind of talks together, and if you're going to grab a coffee, we'll just sort of have a discussion with you. And also everyone is so willing to help, just like no matter what the kind of question is, there is no such thing as a stupid question, which is amazing. Unlike Jen, so your bank balance may be safe because there's just kind of a Tesco's and a Greg's. So not too well placed, but it is sort of still in the sort of middle of Gloucester, which is good. And it's split across 3 buildings.
Brilliant. And do you ever get much time to sort of, obviously you both know each other, how do you sort of communicate between the different offices?
For me, it's particularly easy and important because my team is actually split between Gloucester and Manchester. So half my team is based down in Gloucester with Krystal and half are up here with me. But we have, like all businesses, we've got online chat facilities, which we use all day, every day. It's the same as sitting next to someone in an office. You just ping them on Skype instead of turning around to them and asking them the question, and people are always there ready to help. And like my team, for example, we get together once a quarter for a social. So we switch that between Gloucester and Manchester. So 1 month we'll be down in Gloucester, and then the next month everyone comes up to Manchester. So, it's one of those things everyone's had to get used to hybrid working, haven't they? We're not all sat next to each other all the time. But I mean, for me, it works still really, really well. And we still do get to see each other. And Krystal and I bump into each other at kind of company-wide events that we go to. We went to that fun one down in London, didn't we, recently, Krystal?
Yeah.
So there's loads of stuff going on where you still get to see people, even though you're based in different parts of the country.
So you spoke a little bit about your sort of team environment already and what the sort of day-to-day interactions are. What might a new joiner expect in their first month of working for BAE, and how was your first month in your experience?
I do not mind admitting that I was terrified when I first joined this company. You come off a boot camp and you've learned all these new skills, and my immediate fear was, can I do this job? Have I learned the skills that are necessary to do this job? And I was so relieved that from the outset, my team was so welcoming and supportive. There was absolutely no expectation on me to be an experienced software engineer already. They were willing to hold my hand through the first tasks that I worked on, really helping me understand the code that we were working on and the system that we were working on. And then I was able to gradually take off those training wheels and, was left to my own devices a bit more, albeit with that support still there. So right from the outset, it was so welcoming and supportive, I found. So typically when you join the company, you have an induction period when you first join. And so you would be doing some training sessions, usually online. So you can either be at home to do those, or you can go into the office if you like to have people around you. And once you've gone through that training period, that induction period rather, they will look to put you on a project. So all the work that we do is project based. So you might work on a particular project for a few months, a year, a couple of years before moving on to a different project. And so you will be allocated a project when you first join. And that's where you will get to know your team, usually quite small teams. I think my immediate team's about 5 or 6 people. And you will quickly get to grips with your real day job, if you like, but being supported all the way through that. So that's the sort of thing you'll be expecting as you join. And I should mention as well that you get given a career manager who looks after your career, and usually a buddy as well. So you've got people there to help you as you join the organisation.
I think one of the scariest things when you start a new organisation is actually learning the systems that organisation do use, and that can be quite daunting as well. So it's great to hear that they were there to hold your hand throughout all of those steps, regardless of what level of tech you are as well. So what is the best thing about working for BAE Systems?
I mentioned earlier, I kind of really like the kind of big company but small company feel. So it's sometimes incredible to kind of think that we, as a company, create these massive submarines and aeroplanes and everything, but then you go into the office and, as I said, everyone's just so friendly and sort of talks to you and really makes you feel welcome. I also really like the kind of career progression that I've been able to achieve within BAE Systems. They've been incredibly supportive and kind of tried to upskill me in any sort of a crazy way that I want to do. So I'm currently doing a solution architect diploma, which is something that I was able to do through sort of BAE Systems and sort of gain that qualification. Just the support from everyone and just being able to kind of move up within my career has been amazing.
That sounds brilliant. How do you sort of balance your sort of day-to-day role and then the upskilling side of things? So where you've got some dedicated time to upskill to help your progression?
Something that you have to kind of manage yourself. Sometimes it is a bit of a struggle, especially if workload is quite sort of intense, but the team's kind of aware and they're all going through stuff like it. So they're able to kind of take a step back and sort of help when in any way that I kind of need, just so that I'm able to sort of complete those training days. So some of them can be sort of 3 to 4 days worth of training. So obviously I need other people within the team to sort of step up and take over those jobs that I normally do day to day.
Brilliant, thanks for sharing that. And Over to you, Jen. What's your favourite thing about working for the organisation?
Can I have two? Can I be greedy? The first one is like the actual work. It's so interesting. We work in a part of BAE Systems which deals with national security, and in terms of like giving me motivation to get up on a Monday morning, it ticks all the boxes. It's super interesting and it's important work as well. But one of the other things I love about working for BAE is how supportive they've been to me as a mum of young kids. I was so nervous about that going back to work after having the boys. You know, can I fit in the school run? What if they're off sick one day? You know, can I just drop everything and look after them because they need their mum around or there's no other childcare around? They've been so supportive of that. So that was a huge relief when I joined. So that's the two things I love, the interesting work and the fact that it works for me as a mum of young kids.
Do you sort of have flexible working hours around the sort of pick up, drop off times?
Yeah. So it obviously varies from people across the country, across the company, because it is flexible and people can do what they need to do. But for me, I work full time. That's my choice. People do work part time, and you know, there's all sorts of combinations of school hours only, or term time only working, or 3 days a week, for example. There's all sorts of combinations like that. But for me, I flex it so that I start early in the morning and I finish early, so that my husband can drop off the kids at school and I can pick them up and have that time with them in the afternoon. So you know, that works really well with my team. They know when I'm online and when I'm not online, and I manage to fit my hours in, but at a time that works for me. And like I said before, you know, there's been plenty of times when I've needed to look after them at short notice, and, you know, work have been absolutely supportive of that. And someone else will take on my work for that day, or it'll just wait till the next day. It's never been an issue so far.
Is there any sort of internal sort of like women in tech or parents in tech sort of networks that you can bond in the position?
Yeah, exactly that. There are a few actually. So that's the great thing about being part of such a big organization, is that there is loads of different groups like that. So I'm in a women in cyber group. I'm in the All In Club, which is about promoting gender diversity. I'm in a digital intelligence parenting group where we've got an online forum where we, you know, moan about how, you know, annoying our kids are being that day or whatever, you know, and more serious things like, you know, parental leave policies at work and things like that. So yeah, there's a ton of supportive groups like that. And again, that's one of the things that I love about working here, is that you feel part of a group or part of a community, you know, whatever that community looks like for you.
Krystal, have you got any experience of, you know, being a part of any of those sort of employee groups?
Yeah, so I used to be in the same Women in Cyber group as Jen. I recently moved off it just because of the kind of time restraints I had with the kind of changing career. But there is loads of other ones that are available. There's the like sort of Great Minds as well. So that's the sort of promoting mental health and sort of raising awareness of that within the organisation. Some of them are just not as well understood as many other ones. But yeah, no, I'm not currently part of them, but I probably should put some more effort in and join in, because they do incredible work.
Sounds like BAE are doing lots of different things to sort of advocate for being an inclusive employer. Jen, why do you think this organisation is a really good place for people to come back after returning to tech after a career break?
I think there's a lot of things I've mentioned already. So, you know, it's a flexible place to work if you need that flexibility. It's a welcoming place, whatever community you identify with or feel part of. I'm pretty confident they are represented in some way at BAE. So the office I work in is so diverse in all its forms, and that brings with it such a sort of lovely community feeling, and it's vibrant and it's welcoming and it's fun. And I love that. You know, when I first joined, I was convinced it would be, you know, not like that. I'm convinced it would be, you know, like the stereotypes you hear about IT companies and offices. And, you know, I'm delighted to say it's not. So I think in terms of anybody who's thinking about returning to tech, I would reassure them that they don't need to feel nervous that they won't fit in, or that it won't work for them, or that it won't be something that can fit in with their lives already. I think certainly from my experience and from, what Krystal's been saying as well, it is so welcoming in both Manchester and Gloucester.
Amazing. And Krystal, I'd like to just dig in a little bit more deeper about your sort of progression that you have worked with your career mentor, career manager. Could you talk us a little bit through the process of how you went through it, and was it yourself that put yourself forward, or do you work with your career manager to sort of navigate where is best for you progression wise?
Yeah, so when you sort of join BAE Systems, you're given a career manager sort of automatically. It's normally someone external to your project, so someone kind of not biased towards your sort of day-to-day or any sort of influence on the team. And then from there, you typically sort of meet once a quarter to go through kind of where you want to go with your career and how you can kind of create that progression. For me, it was sort of very crucial because I have these sort of crazy, ambitious ideas of what I want to do, but sort of no idea on how to actually achieve them. So your career manager is typically someone who's been in the sort of role more senior to you for a number of years. So they obviously have that experience of making that progression. So they're able to guide you, make suggestions on training to do, sort of attributes that you should be upskilling in. So as most people, I'm probably the harshest critic on myself and sort of hold myself to a high standard. So it was my career manager that sort of pushed me to go for these opportunities. So they're the ones that sort of suggested that I should go for promotion. They're also the ones that sort of suggested I should go for the solution architect diploma. So yeah, they've been sort of invaluable to me and my career progression.
And how often do you meet with your career manager?
So it's kind of more based on your requirements. So as a standard, people tend to meet once a quarter, but you can sort of make that more regular if you do kind of need that added support. So I tend to meet with mine a bit more just because he's very local and we're able to meet within the Gloucester office and just have a catch up. And just sort of, if I have an idea that I want to go for promotion sooner, we'll probably meet a lot more regularly just so that we can obviously put that plan into place. And if there's kind of just my career's ticking on quite nicely, we tend to sort of keep to the once a quarter.
Brilliant. That sounds absolutely amazing. And I'm so thankful for you both for taking your time today to share your insights on what it's like working for the organisation. I'm sure there'll be lots of people watching this relating to both of you, and hopefully it will urge them to apply for my programme and hopefully be joining you in the business. So thank you once again. And if anybody does have any questions or have any questions about the application process and what that involves, please head to our Tech Returners website and one of our team will be on hand to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.